They know the names, they know the plays, just to prove their devotion. Wrestling with emotion. Opinions so wide, they can span an entire ocean. Wrestling with emotion. McAdoo states they're so deadly, they might cause an explosion. Take so hot that if you look at their mouths, they might be smoking. Wrestling with emotion.
Folks, hope you're having a great Saturday, whether you're getting brunch with your Aunt Sally or on your way to the Home Depot. But our crew is ready to put in work on the Wrestling with Emotion Stupendous Wrestlemania edition. So let's get them all in here. We got Around the Horn, Rob Ryan, your friend Jake Micah, our friend Ernie Green, and of course, the Prophet, the man who has been dominating the prediction series, Michael Partham. Crew, welcome to WrestleMania weekend.
The most stupendous WrestleMania of all time. I mean,
we should get paid every time it gets said. Vince should be sending us royalty checks.
You mean Vince should get paid every time it's said because he's probably got a trademark by now. The single word, stupendous.
It's going to be stupendous. That was the best part of that Rollins video was Vince getting the stupendous in there. He's like, you know what it's going to be, right?
It's going to be stupendous.
By the way, that's the greatest intro song in the history of intro songs. Who's the singer of that?
I don't know, but they definitely do not have any vocal ability, and I think they should probably be fired. With that said, I don't think anybody's going to be fired this weekend. Thank you for tuning in to the Wrestling with Emotion show. WrestleMania, Stupendous WrestleMania edition. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Make sure you're chiming in with all your thoughts. And of course, let's get the same route for all our shows. Obviously, it's WrestleMania weekend. That's stopping the wrestling world from thriving. There's arguably a wrestling boom going on right now. John Cena said it himself this week in an interview. What is our favorite storyline across pro wrestling right now? Let's start with Rob Ryan and then go around the horn.
Oh, man. I'm going to be honest. I haven't watched much AEW. I guess I'm a mark right now. I've been busy. Sorry, on Wednesday nights. Sorry, been busy. So sadly, I'm going to have to point to WWE for my favorite storyline right now somehow because I'm going to say I'm a mark right now. I haven't been able to watch AEW. So I'm going to just go with RK Bro. I love what they're doing. But I know everything else can be AEW, and that's my apologies. Flame me all you want.
No, RK Bro is incredible. I think one of my favorite stories is our main event story for the weekend too. I think Reigns and Lesnar, for all the fits and starts that we've had, it's been the biggest. Like, we've been waiting for this blow off match for a long time since Heyman really got involved with Reigns. So I'm very excited to kind of see. And it made me more interested this weekend with Roman's comments about the tribal chief and everything, where he basically said him and Heyman would have left. He said we might not have returned to WWE if we didn't get to do this tribal chief storyline the kind of the way they wanted it to. So it's kind of interesting to see that one of the things that Vince probably has his hands off of the most has been one of their most successful storylines. It's probably a theme that we'll talk about throughout the show. So that's there, but I can't go without saying the Blackpool Combat Club is probably like the coolest thing in wrestling we've had in a long time. Just putting John Moxley and Bryan Danielson, I'll get the name right at some point during this show. But those two together is just magic on a TV screen. It's going to be great. It's going to create great wrestling and great tag team wrestling, which I think that's one of the things that's coming up. Not on the WWE side, but everywhere else in the world, is the tag team wrestling is looking to be in one of the biggest boom periods ever. So I think that's what I'm looking forward to the most.
There's a lot of good things going on in AEW, but I'm going to be with you guys. I'm going to go WWE, and I think Edge being back to a killer heel. You know, everybody's like, "Oh, MJF's the greatest heel in the business," and then Edge is like, "Hold my beer because you guys forgot how great I am as a heel." And he's not even like playing that conniving like piece of crap role. He's playing like a monster. I'm a horrible person and I don't care heel. And AJ Styles is the perfect foil for that. I think it's going to be an amazing match. It's been an amazing storyline. And given the fact that they weren't even given a lot of time to develop the storyline, they still made it into a killer thing. Because God forbid anybody has long-term booking in this federation. They've still made it into something really, really special, in my opinion. And I think that's the greatest thing going on in pro wrestling right now.
Edge is having a good heel run, a good reinvention. But MJF is better than him, and you know it. Because here's MJF in another compelling storyline. Again, he just got off a storyline with CM Punk, a long-term storytelling from one pay-per-view to the next. And now he's going right to the next one, which everybody's been anticipating, him versus Wardlow, and seeing what Wardlow is going to do on a weekly basis to get into the show, essentially. Fight his way through security, come in disguise, or hide under the ring, whatever it's going to be. And eventually it's going to come to a head, Wardlow versus MJF, and everybody's just going to be, screaming blood in order to see MJF get his butt kicked from one side of the ring to the next. It's no surprise that MJF is once again involved in the most compelling storyline in wrestling, but that's just because he knows how to get under everybody's skin.
I love it, boys. And I think, Ernie, you made an amazing point with AJ Styles being the perfect foil for Edge, because I was a little worried about him at the end of that Omos run. I think they had gotten a little bit stale. I liked what they did out the gate, but I thought they had gotten a little stale, and I was worried about AJ because we know he is the phenomenal one. With that said, I got to go with the phenomenal one in AEW, and that is the icon Sting. Are you kidding me what this guy has been continuing? The career renaissance has been incredible. All I got to say, and this is what I'm going to put down, if 5 years ago I told you that Sting would be going through tables with the Hardy Boys on cable weekday TV, like, you would have looked at me cross-eyed. And that's exactly where I'm at as a fan, and I'm very much enjoying it. And speaking of enjoying it, who's been enjoying their picks lately? Let's check it in. Partham continuing his run of his reign of terror. Now up to, what do I got at? 33-3, another 11-1 on the AEW Revolution show. We both went 11-1, by the way.
Can I just say a few things, gentlemen?
Yes.
They say all wrestling predictions are created equal, but you look at me and you look at the rest of Trainer X Sports, and you can see that statement is not true. See, normally when you pick a one-on-one match between two wrestlers, you got a 50-50 chance of winning. But I'm a prediction freak, and I'm not normal. So you got a 25% at best at beating me. And then you add WrestleMania to the mix, your chances of winning drastically go down. So let's do it.
I love it. We just got Partham mathed right there, and I could not be happier about it. Speaking of numbers, we got everybody pretty good. Ty B still.
I've dropped it.
Ty B is the devil. That's scary.
Ty B actually had this number going into last show's predictions, and then he went 8-4, which is obviously again 66.66%. So his number changed. Very haunting from Ty B. We hope all's well, and unfortunately Dwayne still below the
under 50% is
basically our Kurt Hawkins here honestly. In Wrestling with Emotion show. But with that said, so this is just a little topic I want to talk about. I know that we could ask about WrestleMania moments and we could talk about them forever. I get it. But real quick, just before we do that, night 1 or night 2, gents? Real quick, I'll give us a lightning rundown. Night 1, we are looking at Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair, Mysterios versus Miz and Logan Paul, McIntyre, Happy Corbin, Usos versus Nakamura and Bugs for the SmackDown titles, New Day versus Sheamus, Ridge Holland, and Butch, Seth Rollins versus mystery opponent, and Flair versus Rousey. So a very daunting 7-match night. And then again, you have
the KO show.
Wait, yeah, why isn't this on here?
KO show is the main
my God, WrestleMania, you crazy. Okay, that's big. KO show. Yes. Okay, so that's big. Thank you. And then I'm mad at Wikipedia right now. It's not Wet WrestlePedia. Okay, and then we got night 2. We have the 4-way tag team match for the women's titles.
Banger.
Knoxville versus Zayn. Anything goes. Theory versus McAfee, which both will probably try and take the roof off. RK Bro, Street Profits, and Alpha Academy for the Raw tag titles. Edge versus AJ Styles in the singles match, again, with a huge build-up there over the last 2 to 3 weeks. Lashley versus Omos. And then Lesnar Reigns, the unification match with the WWE Championship and Universal title online, which we're talking about. So, again, you've probably already forgotten about the first match I talked about if you're at home, because, again, 7 matches on each night. And then, of course, the KO show on the first night. But, Jets, quick around the horn. Let's go reverse this time. Partham first. What night are you looking forward to more here?
I would have said night 1 just based on Cody Rhodes alone, because I think that's going to be the most electric, most crowd-popping moment of either night 1 or night 2. But I looked down the list. Mysterio's, Logan Paul, Corbin, McIntyre, New Day versus those guys. Maybe that'll be a feel-good moment. We'll get to that later. Rousey and Flair is going to be the quote main event, but I'm not feeling that build, and we'll comment on that later as well. Night 2 seems to have the most entertainment, the most sports entertainment, as Chris Jericho would say. People are popping hard for Knoxville every time he shows up. People are going to pop hard for McAfee when he shows up in his match. Edge Styles is, of course, going to be a classic. And, of course, Reigns Lesnar is going to be the main event. So I think night 2 is a little more stacked. If you put Cody Rhodes in night 2, then it would be like a cakewalk for night 2.
I'm gonna go night 2 as well, barely. I think if I want to, I think the better quote unquote professional wrestling will be night 1, but I think there's a lot more intriguing stuff night 2.
I'm going night 1. As Mike said, the Cody Rhodes Seth Rollins factor. I'm usually gonna pick the night with Seth Rollins on the card anyways when it comes to WWE, but this year especially. I also think Lynch Belair could be really that could be match of the weekend, one of the best women's matches we've seen. They've had the build's been a little inconsistent, whatever, but the overall story's been there since SummerSlam, and I think those two are both 2 of the best we've ever seen in WWE women's wrestling. So I think that they're going to be looking for a spot, especially as they're not the main event women's card, which is a little interesting that they didn't split up the women to the 2 sides. But I think I'm going night 1. I think it's interesting, though, if you kind of trim the fat on this card, like maybe not Drew McIntyre, Happy Corbin, and Lashley almost could go to like a pre-show or something like that, and maybe even the women's tag or something. That would be something the WWE would do. Actually, probably the New Day thing. It was like a 10 or 11 match card. This would be one of the best one night cards we've had in like the last 11 years. And now it's 2 nights, and it's still going to be fun 2 nights, but it's just the irony isn't lost on me that this would be an incredible one night card. It would be another 7-hour epic for sure, though.
Yeah, no, they'll never do the 7-hour stuff ever again. I mean,
I don't want them to either.
Brutal. But I'm gonna go. There's good matches on both nights. I like night 1, Cody Seth. You got Bianca and Becky, like you said. But like night 2, you got the biggest storyline we've been going on for over years now.
Like 7
years. With Brock and Roman, we're finally gonna see the fraud lose. We're not gonna have to acknowledge the fraud anymore. So I'm gonna go with night 2 just because of that. No one acknowledges the fraud. The only acknowledgement that is deserved in WWE is the Cowboy Brock Lesnar.
I do think that Flair Rousey has their work cut out for him here to do this, but I'm looking forward more to night 1. One that I haven't heard you guys mention, I hate to say this, it's not fair to say this, but it's Saturday. You get to go out, you get to enjoy. There's no Sunday scaries at the end of the night. Now, also, they are competing against the Final 4, so that'll be very interesting. And we'll have, obviously, all that coverage later tonight. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, but I think that what's going to be very interesting is Vince really likes, like we've seen him do it with like Monday Night Football, where he books stuff like in halftime and stuff like that. So the time that first game tips off 6:09 Eastern, 5:09 Central, right? There's a window right in there after we get the national anthem and all the crazy stuff at the beginning of Mania, where it could be right in between, right before Duke UNC. And I don't know what match you put in here to start, but I think that we're opening up with Seth Rollins, and that's the hottest start you could possibly get. And it's right in between this, and they're going to delay it just enough so it hits right as Nova Kansas is ending. We'll hear Rollins' music, and then we'll get going with WrestleMania. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a stalled opening for WrestleMania to try to like get in between the start of Duke UNC and get a big moment right in the start.
Well, that sounds like a logical way to start, but everything that I've heard is saying Belair and Lynch are going to open WrestleMania Night 1.
Well, shit, I'll sign you up for that too, bro.
I mean that'll be a
that's
banger
more than
too.
okay.
So that's not, again, better in my mind than starting with McIntyre, Mad Cat, or Happy Corbin here. I just don't even know why that's on the card. I hate to say it. But yeah, all right, so we're rolling along. And again, so we can get into the classic moments. For me, it'll always just be Vince McMahon screwing over The Rock, whether it was to help Stone Cold eventually, or whether it was to help Triple H when there was a McMahon in every corner at that one WrestleMania. But real quick, any classics that that stick out to you guys as you're getting ready for this WrestleMania weekend?
Steamboat Savage. I was like 7, 8 years old, and WrestleMania 3 was sensory overload because he had probably one of the top 5 matches of my life, which was absolutely crazy. And then a hour later, Hogan slams Andre the Giant. It was just like almost too much for someone this young, for like a kid that young, just to have that many great moments. Because I was a big Ricky Steamboat fan, and the whole angle where he almost choked to death because the Macho Man hit him with the ring bell, and then he won the match. And then Hogan, like an hour later, slamming Andre. To me, WrestleMania 3 will always be my favorite.
So I'll be a broken record as we talk about these 2 nights of Mania, but my favorite moment will forever be the Rollins cash in. That was just, it felt like the right move. It felt expected, but also just crazy thing to ever possibly imagine that in that spot. And now that we're back here looking at those 3 guys in this position is crazy. But I have my favorite match ever. I'm watching right now. It's on the screen behind here. WrestleMania 25. Shawn Michaels, Undertaker. That it felt like the biggest wrestling match of my life as it was happening, like in the moment. Like I was like, I don't know how you get bigger than these 2 in this spot right here. So yeah, 25 is probably my favorite Mania. I threw it on this morning to just watch through, getting ready. So that's definitely one that'll always stick with me.
I would agree that Undertaker and Shawn Michaels was a great memory for me, especially because I've been following WWE since WrestleMania 14 on and off, but never got around to watching pay-per-views live. Like I always had to watch it after the fact, like the day after or whatever. WrestleMania 25 was the first time I actually discovered, wait a minute, you can actually go out to a bar that's showing WrestleMania and watch it live there. So that was the first time I got to experience that, and I got to see Undertaker, Shawn Michaels. But for me, nothing's going to top WrestleMania 30. The highs and lows of Daniel Bryan winning the opening and closing matches with Undertaker's streak being broken, sandwiched in between it. I mean, I can remember the fall being counted, and the camera switches from close in the ring to a wide shot, like right when the 3 count happens. And for a split second, my mind is thinking, wait, did I miss the kick out or something? He kicked out, right? It's the Undertaker at WrestleMania, right? And then it just all sets in. Oh my God, they actually broke the streak. But then, of course, you chase that with Daniel Bryan beating both Randy Orton and Batista, not the original plan, mind you, and just the ultimate feel-good moment. And I don't think anything's going to top that.
We could do a whole podcast on that night because I was there, Michael. We should do that sometime. You and I. That's crazy.
I agree. Hey, go down the line when we're going to our bi-weekly shows, which is the plan as we move into this new wrestling year. That's definitely some option. We'll do some more recaps when we're caught up with the current content that's going on and take a look back. But hey, gentlemen, it is about moving forward. Let's get ready for the WrestleMania 38 Stupendous Picks edition. Okay, so let's start off. We have the hypothetical Partham first match of night 1. It is the Mon, Becky Lynch, against the EST, Bianca Belair. We are looking for revenge from SummerSlam 2021 when Becky Lynch returned and upset Bianca in basically 30 seconds. A squash match that drove the internet wrestling community ablaze. With that said, will the EST get her revenge tonight? Let's start it off with Rob Ryan.
I mean, there's a reason why EST is in WrestleMania. You can't spell WrestleMania without EST. Bianca has been waiting for this moment since SummerSlam. She's going to get it done, and there's no question about it. Bianca Belair is going to walk out of WrestleMania as the new Raw Women's Champion.
I've been wondering where this eventual Becky Lynch direction goes, right? It hasn't been quite the man. It's been much more heelish, a little bit delusional. they've had her show up on TV with her guy, her husband there, Seth Rollins, at times, and then went away from it. I think that the play from this WrestleMania, and this might inform my Rollins pick too, is that these two are going a little more crazy and maybe putting them together as this like power couple of some sort. I just feel like we're getting like having those two together is something untapped. And I think the only way you can get to that is with Bianca getting her revenge and taking Becky's title away and driving her nuts. I mean, she already cut her hair. She takes her title too at WrestleMania. That's a good way to send Becky off the deep end. I think this is going to be incredible, though. I think this is my candidate for the top match of the weekend. I think these two I think Becky Lynch in general in these spots really never misses, but Bianca, after the way she lost this title and everything and putting on a show last year in the main event, I think she's ready to kind of do that again. These two are ready to put on something special here. And especially knowing that they're going, like, the women competing against each other on the same night is interesting, because we know that Charlotte and Becky, like, they don't have a good relationship at all to begin with. So it's probably a competitive thing too. And you've got 4 talented women like that trying to put one up each other on this show. He creates special for women's wrestling tonight in general. But give me Belair.
I'm going Bianca Belair also. I do think WWE has done a horrible job screwing up a really, really easy storyline where Bianca could have been chasing, and they haven't really done a good job of it. Thankfully, Bianca and Becky are that good. They've managed to salvage it. And I think going into next year's Mania, it's going to be babyface Becky chasing heel Ronda for the championship. That'll be one that they want to have that match to rematch again. So I think the way to kickstart that and to have the storyline end the right way is have Bianca win. So I actually have faith that WWE is going to do something good for once, guys, if you can believe that.
Well, I mean, this was not the long-term booking, as you pointed out. It was just a hot shot. Becky Lynch returns at SummerSlam, wins the title, tries to get some heat on her, but people don't really want to boo Becky Lynch. And Bianca Belair has only been giving the more bigger push recently. I mean, how many times are you going to beat Doudrop before we just say, okay, move on? It's curious that Bianca got over on Becky on the Go Home Raw, cutting her hair and everything. Usually that spot is reserved for, the face is supposed to, like, get beaten down by the heel or humiliated by the heel first, and then goes over at the big pay-per-view or the big payoff. But I'm still thinking that Bianca has to pull through in this match and win the title back, regardless of what WWE's plans for WrestleMania were at the time of SummerSlam. They've got to connect the dots back to SummerSlam and get Bianca her win and her revenge.
And I'm going to make it a clean sweep with our panel here, as I will pick Bianca Belair as well. I mean, if you don't have the payoff here, her winning, and yeah, I think you made a great point, Mike. It's a great opportunity to drive her into a little bit of craziness. But speaking of a little bit of craziness, I think we have one of our panel chiming in here.
Boys, I'm sorry I can't be there, but I thought I said... Boys, I'm sorry I can't be there, but I thought I'd send you a little something. Now, we have a woman who is returning. Rowdy Ronda Rousey.
Oops, wrong women's match. Sorry, McAdoo. I had the wrong cue up there. But he is picking Bianca as well. Hey, listen, it's not a perfect show. It's stupendous, but it's not perfect. So we're moving on. With that said, speaking of moving on, if this guy didn't move on, I don't think he would have ever became as popular as he did. Logan Paul teaming up with The Miz against the Mysterios. A lot of build-up. The Miz and Logan Paul have been pretty much mega heels all the way. Beatdowns all over, disrespectful thing. You got The Miz taking Ray's mask these past couple weeks, so that's obviously a big deal, trying to build this up. Obviously, the payoff here should be the Mysterios getting a win on the big stage. Obviously, you're going to look to get Logan Paul in as big a spot as you can, because obviously that'll be what the social media reach will blow up based upon. That's the whole purpose of WrestleMania, is to get these celebrities involved in all these things. So I will pick the Mysterios, but obviously Paul has a big spot somewhere along the line. What do you got going on, Partham?
You know what? Start with Rob, because I'm still trying to formulate my thoughts on this whole thing.
All right.
Actually,
We'll reverse it next time.
No,
I've got it.
Let's go.
I've got it.
All right.
Oh, Ernie, you can go if you.
Fine, I'll go.
Everyone's nervous about the Mysterios.
No one wants to make this pick.
I will make this.
Go ahead,
First off, one of my favorite moments in 2022 in wrestling was when The Miz asked Dominic, "Aren't you Eddie's son?" Because that angle with Eddie's bedtime story is probably like my favorite segment in the history of
incredible
in the history of professional wrestling. And which makes me laugh because when he said he had sex with a lot of mamacitas, the crowd popped. Like, how do you not tell? Like, you got 16,000 virgins in the crowd. You don't think they're gonna pop for that? Like, that's not a heel thing to say. And that's kind of like what made Eddie a face in 2005 again before he unfortunately passed. But and so when that callback was one of the greatest things I think they've done in a long time. Having said that, I think the Mysterios are going to win and get their revenge.
All right, well, I'm flipping this around. I think we've seen little bits of dissension from Dominic Mysterio over the last year or so, like just little bits getting angry with Rey and everything. There's got to be a swerve somewhere on WrestleMania. I got Dominic turning on Rey, full heel turn, Eddie Guerrero style on Rey Mysterio, calling back to 05, just like you were talking about, Ernie, and fulfilling that and sending toward a wonderful Mysterio on Mysterio match some point in the future. So I got The Miz and Logan Paul.
Yeah, eventually Ray's got to go because he's retired multiple times and he's came back because of Dominic. So eventually they have to end this and they have to have obviously the one-on-one match before they do it. But I don't see them starting it yet. So for that reason, Logan Paul's here just because of the name. You're going to get people coming in just because of the name. They don't really care if he wins or loses. He's going to have that pop eventually in the match. But I'm going to go with the Mysterios. But Jake brings a good point. Eventually, they're going to have to break up. But I don't think it happens here at WrestleMania because they want their big WrestleMania moment together, and they haven't had that yet. So
there have been hints of dissension between the Mysterios, but not as of late. Not recently. I've seen one or two more hints of dissension between The Miz and Logan Paul. On the Cleveland segment where Miz was just crapping all over Cleveland and Logan Paul was like, "What are you doing? We can't have a WrestleMania here or something?"
By the way, real quick, I gotta say, Logan Paul was doing a better job in that segment of selling the emotion of a situation than a lot of wrestling superstars do throughout the program. I gotta be honest. I gotta call a spade a spade.
Yeah, I think we'll eventually see the Mysterios splitting up, but it hasn't been built to the way it should be if it's going to happen now. So I'm going to have to go with the Mysterios getting over Miz and Logan Paul. I wouldn't be surprised if Logan Paul turns on the Miz, maybe not during the match, but after the match, and gets a face pop, or at least attempts to get a face pop if he can do so.
Okay. I like that take. McAdoo has the Mysterios finding victory on night one of WrestleMania, and we're moving along here. We have a match that I don't know about you guys, but I've been looking forward to this one for minutes. Yeah. Drew McIntyre versus Happy Corbin with Madcap Moss. I hate to say this because I really respected what Drew McIntyre did in the Thunderdome, but who could care less about this match right here? I mean, my goodness. Is there some kind of payoff that I'm going to get that I don't see? McIntyre's a great performer. Happy Corbin is a good, foil, for other characters to vibe off of, but my goodness, who cares? Give me McIntyre. What do you got, Partham?
The less said about this, the better. Let's make this short and move on. McIntyre should just squash Corbin in 18 seconds or whatever. Drew McIntyre, next.
McIntyre, next.
Yep.
Oh, all right. McIntyre next. Please just end this. I'm so done with this.
And McAdoo actually submitted a pick, McIntyre next. I don't know how he knew that, so that's very impressive. But yeah,
I will say
honestly,
they inflated Corbin's on this huge winning streak right now too. Madcap just won last night. He won the winning streak. He won the Andre the Giant Royal Battle Royal last night. So they bloated all these guys up, so it looks awesome. Even better for McIntyre to get a big WrestleMania win.
Well, yeah, he's undefeated as Happy Corbin.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh, yep, he's on quite a run. But yeah, again, I have nothing wrong with either of these performers, but just couldn't care less. Could not care less. All right, but hey, speaking of put something on the line, we got the Usos, the ones, versus Knock and I like to call them Steroid Joe Cons, but Boogs.
Steroid.
I can see Nakamura and Boogs winning here. Let's cause a little dissension amongst the ones. Maybe some time off for the Usos after this. Give some other tag teams some time to flourish. I mean, the only thing that I hate is just that Nakamura and Boogs don't have like a tag team name. Like, I'm looking at so many tag teams on this card that are just two stars paired together with no name. Like, where are the days where everybody had a name? Like, I mean, come on. It's just frustrating there. I'm going to go with Knock and Boogs. What do you got, Rob?
This is another one. This is what screws my my percentages every pay-per-view is that
Excuses.
the damn family. I try to get around them, try to go against them, but they always somehow do it. But I think this is it. I think finally both the Usos and Roman lose their titles. So just because I think they need a break. They've been on for too long. The Usos are never really this pushed this much. So I think they need a break. Roman will still be around, but I don't think he has the title anymore. So I'm going to go with Boogs and Shinsuke Nakamura.
There it is. Hell yeah. That was
Can you
good,
do it
Rob.
again?
That was solid.
Shinsuke Nakamura.
That's
Worth
beautiful.
every
That's
worth every
lovely.
penny on the live stream here.
I'm a huge Rick Boogs mark, so I'm picking with my heart and picking Knock and Boogs. I also think that Boogs is gonna get a crazy reaction from this live crowd, and that's gonna be like people just casually tuning into WrestleMania are gonna be like, "Who the hell is this guy?" Because people are gonna go crazy when they see Boogs come out there to introduce them. I think they'll ride that momentum. I think I'm not giving away my Mania event pick yet, but not all the bloodline can leave this with a title, and I think the Usos definitely come out of here a little battered down. They've been running it for a while. I think it's about time. Give Knock and Boogs a little run. They love giving Nakamura a title, even if it's going to be for like a month. So why not today?
What sucks is that McAfee's not going to be at the announce table to dance on the table when they come out.
Well, McAfee's on night two, right?
He will be.
Oh yeah, no, he'll be there.
Oh, McAfee's on night 2, yes. Sorry.
Oh my gosh, Rob! You just had that great moment with the Nakamura, and then you do that. Come on!
Yay, Nakamura.
There it is. Ernie, what
So
you got?
for me, first off, I think Nakamura is the biggest wasted talent they've ever had in WWE history.
Oh, for sure.
When the entire crowd was singing, along when he faced AJ Styles at Mania, and with Nita Strauss, who's by the way the GOAT female of all time, when she was playing him to the ring, that was one of the greatest moments ever, and they somehow screwed that up. It just boggles my mind. Amazing performance. He's an amazing wrestler. He was completely over with the crowd. I'm sure the crowd's still going to go crazy for him, but I do think that the Usos are going to win tomorrow. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but I think it's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree. They're not ready to take the titles off the Usos, even if they should take the titles off the Usos. Nakamura and Boogs are over with the crowd, but I don't feel like they've been pushed. Feels like it's been a month's push. If they really were pushing Nakamura and Boogs to the tag titles and not just giving the Usos a compelling opponent for WrestleMania, if they were pushing them more long term, then yeah, I could see Nakamura and Boogs culminating at WrestleMania as the tag champions. But now they're going to keep the bloodline going for the time being because they want to keep Roman Reigns going for the time being. So by association, the Usos are going to win.
Okay, I like that. I like that. This is why we have our Wrestling with Emotion panel. Rob, Jake, and me get carried away with the Knock and Boogs hype, but you guys bring us back down to earth with that WWE logic all day. And that's why you got to tune in. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Make sure you're tuning along because we have a huge match on the horizon here. I'm talking about the New Day versus Sheamus and your favorite superstar, Ridge Holland, with all of our favorite third man, Butch. What the hell is going on here? How is this a match?
A lot.
Did I miss something? Has there been like a huge buildup? Sheamus and Ridge Holland basically just like fighting. I think Sheamus has actually entered like a stage of delirium where he got like hit in the head or something, and he just thinks he's like fighting like
in a bar
24/7.
all the time.
Yeah, he's in a bar. It's fight night. It's like what the hell is going on here? But give me some clarity, like you're always capable of doing. Let's start this off, Partham. What's going to go on when the New Day takes on Sheamus and Ridge Holland?
Well, this should have been a 3-on-3 6-man tag match, but unfortunately, get well Big E, because he may or may not ever wrestle in another match again. Glad that the timing is right, that King Woods is back in our presence. Does anybody care about Ridge Holland that much at all?
No.
Exactly. So, and Sheamus is the wily vet that, will put on a good match, and people are just, Pete Dunne. I will not acknowledge his name. His name is Pete Dunne. He's not even going to get involved in this match since it's not a 6-man tag anymore. I think, regardless of what the booking may have been when it was a 6 tag, when it was penciled in as a 6 tag, I think now the New Day is going to go over to get that feel-good movement and say, that's for you, Big E.
Partham just won't acknowledge, it's all about the Butch.
I agree. I think this is going to be there. This is for Big E moment at WrestleMania. And to answer Partham, I didn't even know that Ridge Holland was a human being until he broke Big E's neck. So that answers your question. But does anybody care about Ridge Holland? The only reason they care about him is that he injured Big E like an idiot, and it's not like a Chris Benoit name redacted, when he turned into the crippler because he accidentally injured Sabu in ECW. They're not going to turn it in that angle. He's just a putt, and I would bet a lot of money if there was a bet that he's going to take the fall tonight and lose the match. So New Day.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I think that this has to be this is a perfect spot. Get the New Day over, especially in light of the Big. I think they were going to go over with Big E, but in light of the Big E news, not putting them over would be kind of crazy. It would probably piss a lot of people off. That being said, there is a very good possibility that if they really liked it, WWE has never failed to put Sheamus over Big in a lot of different ways, and they could just make this group look like the biggest assholes in the world if they just beat the shit out of it. Maybe it doesn't even get to a match, and they just destroy the New Day. Everybody thinks we're getting this big New Day moment, and they're just laying there. That's just my heel booking mind, but I'm going with the New Day. I can't pick against the New Day at WrestleMania. I never would, so going with the New Day for sure.
Yeah, I don't think this one really needs much discussion. It's one of those let's just add a match to have more time booked for more money. So I'm going with the New Day.
Okay, and we've got a clean sweep with the New Day. I'll be taking them as well as McAdoo. And now we've really got it on tap. Seth Rollins versus mystery opponent. I mean, this is what I'll start off with. Before we get into the predictions here. Is there any way, percentage, or any form of chance that this is not Cody Rhodes?
Oh yeah, there's too high of a chance for my liking.
What would everyone on this panel put the percentage at? That it's like if it was a piece of the pie, 100% pie. What is it for not Cody Rhodes? Like 30%?
11. That's my
1%.
15, 10, 11. 1%. All right, so 30 was a lot. But yeah,
I don't know who else could it be if it's not
Shane McMahon.
Cody.
Especially
Shane McMahon it's really just Shane. I can just hear it. He's Vince hyping it all up. Like, this man is from one of the most prestigious wrestling families in the world. All this stuff, basically just giving a whole Cody intro, and then here comes me.
Oh no! If they do that intro with Shane, I'm gonna.
I could see them doing that, having Shane come out, and then Shane's like, "Vince, I'm done with wrestling. I brought somebody in actually," and then you get Cody. Like, I'm
that would be sick.
The biggest troll job.
I've been preaching that. I have been preaching that for the last 2 weeks. That Shane's going to be a red herring. I figured it was going to be more like Carmella at SummerSlam, where he's going to come out and say, okay, I want to match with Seth Rollins. And then the lights go out, and then the real guy comes out that's going to face Seth Rollins. But the reports are that Shane's in for WrestleMania weekend. The reports are also, if you can believe them, that Shane's not booked on the show in any way, shape, or form. It could be a last-minute he's technically not booked on the show if he's just going to show up for a cameo and a fake-out. But I see that as a possibility that they're going to troll us with Shane to begin with. They trolled us with Elias coming out to confront John Cena when he was asking for The Undertaker a few years back. So WWE knows what they're doing. They know that they want to play with our emotions at first and then get the big moment. So take us down and then build us back up. I don't see them just straight coming out with Cody Rhodes right off the bat, but I see Cody Rhodes ultimately being the opponent. And by the way, Cody Rhodes is going to win.
I'm not sure if we're going back to me, but I agree 100%. But I want, in the very, 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 very worst way, for Cody not to be there. I think it would be the greatest thing. I just want to see the internet burn. Because if he didn't show up tonight, like every single person would lose their mind, and I would just sit back and laugh because it'd be the funniest thing ever. Especially if it was Shane, who people just have so much like fatigue about, you know. And I don't know. I know I'm in the minority here when I say I'm not like the Cody Rhodes is a good wrestler, but I think he is who he is. I think in AEW he was a TV title contender, and in WWE he's a US/Intercontinental title contender. I can think of 10 wrestlers on both sides that should be world title contender before Cody Rhodes, and including guys on both shows that aren't world title contenders yet, but should be, in my opinion. So I just, I think it's I think it's gonna be a cool moment, but it's also a lot of hype for a guy who is who he is. He's just, in my opinion, an upper mid card guy with a really cool last name and a really awesome father.
I think that's enough to make a special WrestleMania moment, though. Really,
yeah,
that's what he's looking for as much as anything else. So I mean, with Rollins in general, I think that he's a guy that is clearly he's been the tentpole. Like if it's been Reigns and Lesnar, it's been Rollins right there with him as someone that Vince trusts most, but also just been protected. Like Reigns has never pinned Rollins clean. Like that's a crazy thing to think about when we think about how dominant Roman Reigns has been, but that's where Seth Rollins has been. So I feel like if this is the Cody Rhodes spot, my 89% chance that this is Cody Rhodes. Rollins is taking this on because he knows that he can do something special with it. These two share so much history within WWE. I think that's one of the things that people overlooked when it came to Cody coming back was like, yes, he started this thing with AEW. Yes, he was, people thought bridges were burned with WWE and everything. But this is the place where he grew up. Like he was there when he was 21 years old, debuting in WWE. Worked with all these guys that are running this company. His best friend is one of his best friends in the world is Kevin Owens, who's main eventing this damn night tonight. And just the shared history between him and Rollins, I think if they give those two, like we mentioned earlier, that the main storyline hasn't had a lot to do with Vince. It's been Heyman and Reigns and Lesnar really crafting that. If Rhodes and Rollins are allowed to kind of craft their own storyline, and this is their launching point for it, and this is actually some long-term planning and not just let's put Cody Rhodes in WrestleMania against Rollins and get a big moment and then not worry about it, they could do something good because Cody calls himself a revolutionary. Rollins calls himself a revolutionary. They both taken barbs indirectly at each other in the media. Rollins just this week saying how he thought it was, I can't remember the exact word, embarrassing, I think, AEW wrestlers talking about WWE. I mean, that's Cody literally, we've seen all the shit he did in AEW coming after WWE. I think these two could do something really special, promo-wise and building a story if they're allowed. That being said, the only way to descend Seth Rollins into further madness is to have him lose to Cody Rhodes in what's supposed to be his WrestleMania moment. So give me TBA, Cody Rhodes. If it's Shane, I don't know, you guys are not here for me for a while. What Ernie described earlier, that's going to be me. We're the opposite ends here. I'll be burning down the internet.
Yeah, I think you guys explained it well already. I don't think I have really much to add to that, so I'm just going to pick the question mark person, but only if it's Cody. If it's Shane, then just cancel this match.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, with that said, we've learned a little bit with our Wrestling with Emotion prediction series. So with a mystery opponent on the docket, we're not going to actually lock in official picks for this. But again, we talked about it. We're expecting Cody Rhodes. We're expecting a big WrestleMania moment. And I couldn't agree more, Ernie. I think that this is a situation where the moment will probably be bigger than the longevity. Similar to Dolph Ziggler winning the World Heavyweight title back in the day. Okay, now with that said, we are moving on to what do we got here? Flair versus Rousey for the WWE Raw women's title. Oh, wait, no, SmackDown women's title, right?
Yeah.
SmackDown.
Sorry, boys. And I think we have the perfect panel member who nobody's going to predict to come in and give their pick.
Boys, I'm sorry I can't be there, but I thought I'd send you a little something. Now, we have a woman who is returning. Rowdy Ronda Rousey. She came back, returned, won the Royal Rumble. She is making her mark. She picked Charlotte Flair. Don't know why. Should have been Becky Lynch. I'm not going to argue that. I don't know why they went Charlotte Flair other than just to piss off Becky Lynch even more. Don't know. I'm just I'm going to go with the flow here. We're just going to talk about Charlotte Flair and Ronda. Ronda, when I last looked, minus 600 favorite here. I think Charlotte was plus 325. Don't take those odds. Ronda, you know she's winning. She wasn't returning without winning the belt. You know she's going to get her title back that she never should have lost in the first place. Her shoulder was up at 35. Argue with me with that all day long. I will go to the grave saying that Becky Lynch should not have won that match under that circumstance because Ronda, shut up. But we never heard the end of it. We never saw anything of it, and that's why it should have been Becky Lynch here. Don't know why, but it is what it is. So Ronda Rousey getting her title back. Let's go.
I just like
the
that.
shoulder
Man.
was up at 35, damn it.
I don't know why that isn't
dislike
mentioned
that,
more,
man.
because we all saw it live. It wasn't a different camera angle, and no one mentioned it afterwards because Ronda left right after it. She hasn't mentioned it since she's come back. They aren't doing the match with Bianca with Rousey, so that hasn't been a part of the storyline. It's just like they kind of. I would be surprised if they erased it from the replay on Peacock. I haven't checked it out, but I would not be surprised.
I'm going to as we speak, by the way, but go ahead.
Hey, let me get us kicked off here. I think it's pretty simple. Flair, big villain, the opportunity of the women's division. Rousey coming back with all the heat in the world. In a good way, not in a bad way in the wrestling world. Give me Rowdy Ronda in a 15-minute pretty good match. Maybe Flair dominates the first 8 to 10 minutes. They talk about Rousey's ring rust or something like that, but give me Rousey.
Yeah, I think this will be a good match. I still, like everyone's saying, I don't understand why she picked Flair over Becky just because of the storyline. I mean, I guess just because of what happened in the Rumble, maybe that's why she chose Flair. But, I mean, like Mac, as you said, Rousey's not coming back if she's not winning the title. And I think there should be a draft coming up soon, which puts Becky and Ronda on the same show once, obviously, Becky loses earlier in the night. Ronda's going to win. They'll be on the same show eventually. And, yeah, I think Rousey wins this one, and we'll eventually see Becky versus Rousey for the title.
Yeah, I don't see. I would rather see Charlotte win just because I haven't been impressed with Ronda's presentation. She hasn't looked as comfortable coming back. I think she's just getting her feet wet though. Luckily for tonight though, she don't have to talk. She just has to wrestle, and I know she can do that well and can put on an entertaining match. And I trust her and Flair to be able to put on a great match. I'm anticipating their match is going to be more of like the furious moves. This is going to be more of a slow tempo, classic Charlotte Flair, like built out longer title match. But I think that'll serve great purposes for both of these women going along. I think they'll deliver a good one tonight. But give me Ronda.
Ronda's going to win. This is the match that maybe I'm probably the minority again, but I'm 0% excited for this match. Like I didn't miss Ronda when she was gone, and I'm kind of sick of Charlotte. Like she just gets shoved down your throat, and she's not as Roman Reigns gets shoved down your throat too, but at least he's somewhat compelling, and he's in a somewhat a great angle with Paul Heyman and the Usos, and at least they're doing some good storytelling with that. Charlotte's just shoved down your throat, and she needs to go away for 6 months, and just get repackaged. And Ronda is just, I think she's just been, with whatever made her special, her first run is just not there. So I predict Rousey, but I might be getting a beer during this match, and I don't even drink.
Yeah, I agree, Ernie, that Flair's basically been overexposed and is basically becoming very two-dimensional in their character. As far as Ronda goes, I don't know if anybody's made this connection yet. There's been reports out there that, and she's said this in interviews, she tore like a muscle in her upper lip, and pretty much 3 out of every 4 promos that I've heard since she came back or since she started the feud with Flair, she's very subdued. She's very like some people have termed her drowsy, and I think that might be the reason why that she's not been feeling well. That she can't, talk the way she really wants to talk. But that's just me trying to connect dots together. Regardless of what the build's been like or what it should have been, Ronda Rousey is going to win this.
Okay. Well, I think we have a clean sweep of our crew as McAdoo obviously took Rousey as well. So to put a bow on night number 1, we have the KO show featuring Stone Cold Steve Austin. By the way, I forgot to mention this. When Rollins was going through his delusion of like him hosting a show with Steve Austin, like that was so funny. But the weird thing is that WWE just goes, yes, that's a possible idea. So you have a match versus
he had a show.
And he had a show. They didn't even reference the Rollins report.
I agree. They missed, and he did the Daily Show parody with when he was feuding with Jon Stewart all those years ago. But yes, big missed opportunity there. But yes, talking about it, KO show featuring Stone Cold Steve Austin. So again, we're not going to make predictions for this one, but let's just talk about it. Obviously, we're going to get Stone Cold pop in Texas. You're going to get the roof is going to probably blow off the place. With that said, what are you expecting is going to happen? And I guess if we had to set a line, over under 2.5 stunners to Kevin Owens.
I mean, it's pretty simple what's going to happen here. Steve Austin's going to show up. We're going to see a lot of stunners, and we're going to see a lot of beer. And I don't know if we're going to see a lot of talking. I think it's going to be just a lot of stunners and then a lot of beer celebrating after for one Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I think that WWE is not telling us anything because they just want to get into the surprise business. Like everybody's loved the wrestling surprises last year. AEW's been killing the wrestling surprises. So they're like, if we can get any surprises on this card, let's try to do it, including is Stone Cold actually going to wrestle a match? Is it going to be an interview? It's not going to be an interview. We know that, right? Like Stone Cold's coming in there. He's beating some ass. Like you said, he's going to stunner KO all over the place. I do think we're going to get a little match here and like a little 7 to 10 minute sprint with over 5 stunners total. I think I want to see a stunner party. Like we at Super Kick parties, just give me Stone Cold stunner to KO, no cell stunner. Like I just want all the stunners in this. Austin goes home, beats up KO, starts cracking beers. What better way could you send home a night of WrestleMania? Everybody's gonna be loving it. So give me Stone Cold just all over the place.
First off, really quickly, I did check Partham. They do show the replay of WrestleMania 35 on the broadcast still. And that was a complete botch by Ronda, by the way, now that I watched that. But getting back to the KO show, night 1's going to end with Austin in the ring drinking beer after stunning Kevin Owens. I mean, there's no way that Stone Cold Steve Austin was going to come back with his legacy and anything else is going to happen.
I see maybe 2 stunners from Austin to KO. It's going to be the big one that everybody pops for, and then there's going to be a beer celebration, and then that's going to be enough time for KO to kind of stumble to his feet, and Austin will offer him a little peace offering beer and just, flip the bird stunner again for good measure. There's going to be some jaw-jacking on the microphones before it all goes down. I could see a very brief match. It'd have to be like a no rules, no disqualifications, something like that, where, they can go to the outside and just use whatever weapons they want on each other or just brawl with each other. It'd have to be very short. And Steve's been hesitant, supposedly, about doing a full-on match rather than just a segment, but WWE keeps pushing him. Maybe if they put enough money in his face, Saudi Arabia type money, then maybe he'll be willing to let the bell ring and bring a referee down. But Austin will get at least 2 good stunners on KO.
I got by the mute monster. That puts a wrap on our night 1 picks. Pretty united the crew is, but with that said, there is a little dissension amongst the matches, so we'll see if the standings change there. Before we head to our night 2 picks, don't forget that tonight we will be live watching the Final 4 action and also checking in on all things WrestleMania.
comes unwillingly and slow from beds of everlasting snow.
And there we go. And we're moving
Let's
to
go.
night 2. And let's start off. We got the women's tag team championships. We got Queen Zelina and Carmella. Again, this bothers me a little bit because I know like they don't have really an official tag team name. Am I right? They're not the Fabulous Queen or whatever.
No.
Okay, so again, it bothers me. It touches me on an emotional level. Versus Sasha Banks and Naomi. Now, they do obviously have a history. Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, and Natalya and Shayna Baszler. So we're all very interested. So we're all pumped up for this night 2 match. I'll kick it off. I think right now they're going to go with Sasha Banks and Naomi. I mean, you got the name recognition. Naomi's been a big WrestleMania winner in the past, I believe, if my memory doesn't betray me. And I think they trust these superstars to get it done in this spot. But truly, it could be any of these 4 teams, which I think will make it an entertaining fatal 4-way tag team match for the women's tag team championships. Rob, who you got?
Yeah, I really couldn't care less about this match. They didn't. I'm just being honest. I mean, it's like I'm not really liking what they're doing with the women's tag team titles. It's really gone on like just like the back end of WWE. I think I'm just gonna say the champion's gonna retain just because I've had new champions in every match so far. So you gotta have some teams stay the same. So I'm just gonna say Zelina and Carmella.
Yeah, WWE doesn't know how to do a tag team division right, let alone a women's tag team division. That being said, I really like all the performers in this match. I think this is going to be a really fun match. I don't know how much time they're going to get, but I think they could have a lot of fun with it in this format. And one of my WrestleMania rules is if Sasha Banks enters without a title, she should leave with a title. So I'm going with Sasha and Naomi as well.
I agree on everything you just said, so I'm just going to piggyback off you and say, yeah, Sasha and Naomi.
Sasha Banks is 0-6 at WrestleMania. She needs a freaking WrestleMania moment. And Naomi's coming off that hot Sonya feud that really should have culminated at WrestleMania, but the crowd's really behind Naomi as well. I could see in the future Natalya and Shayna Baszler being this, badass beat-em-up tag team that Naomi and Sasha are going to feud with maybe at some point. If they do anything with the women's tag team titles in the first place, which they haven't. But nobody cares about Zelina and Carmella in this endeavor of theirs. Put the titles on Sasha Banks and Naomi and have the titles actually mean something. The women will make the titles rather than the other way around.
Exactly.
It'll be Banks and Naomi.
Most definitely, I agree, and that's why they're the strong.
You know what? I'm switching my.
We convinced Rob. We convinced him.
I'm trying to think. I think there's a little feud going on with Zelina and Carmella, if I recall from what I'm watching. So they're not going to last. They're going to fight during the match. So I'm going to go with Sasha and Naomi.
Gotcha. Now our cohort McAdoo is locking in Rhea and Liv, which would be probably a pretty popular fan pick as well. So very interesting.
Rhea's already been a tag champion recently. Why did they
Rhea is just the tag.
Well, yeah,
she is the greatest women's tag wrestler ever.
Do you think she was the weak link in that tag team, Mike?
Not a chance.
Okay, so there we go. So that's what you do. When you're looking for a better team, you go and get a better partner. That's exactly what you did. Speaking of a partner to dance with, these two have been going at it for months. And the build-up has been appropriate. This is a WrestleMania match worth WrestleMania involving a celebrity. You got Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn. The conspiracy is still going on. What do we got going on? What's going to happen, Partham, when these two face off on night 2?
Sami Zayn should be in a better wrestling match than this. Sami Zayn is capable of putting on a serious wrestling match, but that's not what his character is about right now. His character is about playing the fool and being paranoid, and Knoxville is getting better pops than pretty much 90% of the roster. And if anything goes is to allow Knoxville to get over Sami Zayn with either weapons or his jackass cohorts are going to show up and make a cameo. I think it's probably not the way it should go from a logical standpoint of who the better wrestler is. But I think Knoxville is going to get the win over Sami Zayn.
Is anything goes one of those WWE things where they label it like no disqualification, street fight, anything goes, but it's all just the
No
same
holds
thing.
barred, falls
Yes,
count.
okay, but it's all the same thing. Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, and I'm old school. I'm still a fan of the old school Chicago street fight. That's my favorite gimmick match when it comes to one of these. You know, bring us the Road Warriors, a Chicago street fight, some ass kicking. That's what I want. But in terms of this anything goes match, there's a reason why it's anything goes, is because because logically Johnny Knoxville can't beat Sami Zayn in the match, so he's going to need help, and that's the reason why it's there. And I do think this build-up has been pretty funny. I think it's been better than it should have been. I think the trolling with the phone numbers and all the stuff they've done back and forth has actually been really, really good. And I do predict Johnny Knoxville is going to win with some sort of tomfoolery.
Yeah, these two, it's been a blast. I mean, poor Sammy and his cell phone. Like, I don't know what I would have done. I hate having like 2 notifications, let alone the amount that man probably has. I want to know, like, how much pain are these two going to be in once this match is done? Like, both these, like, Sami Zayn throughout his wrestling career has taken some ridiculous bumps through ladders, tables, all of the above. Johnny Knoxville, his resume speaks for himself. That man's willing to do anything to put himself in pain. So I'm very interested. This reminds me of like the Shane O'Mac spot where you're like, what crazy shit is going to happen in this match? Or Jeff Hardy spot. And which as I was watching WrestleMania 25, forgot all about that ladder spot against Matt where he jumps over and lands right on his ass. Like something crazy that one of these two is what I'm looking for in this match. And yeah, you got to put Johnny Knoxville over for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for this match. They're both lunatics, kind of, when it comes to like the extreme stuff. I mean, Johnny Knoxville, obviously the jackass. Like Micah said, it speaks for himself. And Sami Zayn, like you said, it's what they said. They've had a good build-up. That phone thing was mad funny. I loved Sammy's tweets about it, just being like, "Who are you? Blah blah. Stop. So, and I think Knoxville is gonna win this match. And it just goes along with the storyline they always go with Sami Zayn saying he got screwed out of a win, documentary, all that stuff, and it just goes on par for WWE. So I'm going with Johnny Knoxville.
Okay, it's a clean sweep for Knoxville from our crew and McAdoo. Moving on night 2, we got a match that a lot of people are looking forward to. Pat McAfee versus Austin Theory. McAfee has over-impressed in basically all of his physical interactions or matches in the WWE. Austin Theory is kind of the golden child of Vince McMahon, a little prodigy type thing going on here. Not on a Drew McIntyre level from back in the day, but kind of his guy. With that said, I love McAfee. The energy is the best. He has renewed Michael Cole as Michael Cole has testified. But with that said, I got to go Austin Theory here. Vince McMahon does not lose at WrestleMania. And so I'm going Austin Theory here. Rob, what do you got for this match? I know you're pumped to see McAfee in action.
Oh my God, it's going to be stupendous. Pat McAfee is just an all-out entertainer everywhere he's been, from the NFL to podcasts to WWE and everywhere around. He's always just been an entertainer, and that's what he brings to the ring, just like he brings everywhere else. He's going to bring the entertainment, but Austin Theory is getting that push, being Mr. McMahon's guinea pig. So I'm going to go with Austin Theory with him. But this is going to be a good match with Pat McAfee, because he's going to make this a stupendous match.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see Pat. Like you said, Maniac, he's looked great in all his physical altercations and such in WWE so far with Adam Cole and whatever else. I'm aligned with you. The human creator wrestler Austin Theory, backed by Vince McMahon, can't lose at WrestleMania. Not to an announcer, not even a former NFL player announcer. So I think Theory goes over. Maybe something dastardly, I don't know. But I think Theory goes over, and it'll be a very, very fun match. I have no doubt Pat's going to be able to put on a show in this. He needs some entrance music too. That's what I'm waiting for.
I'm going to go the opposite. I think there is going to be some chicanery, but it's going to be some chicanery in the form of what Austin Theory's next feud is going to be. So I think Pat McAfee wins with help from somebody else.
I've been back and forth on this one, because Theory is McMahon's pet project. If he wants to push him, he should get some momentum. But he's not getting momentum like a real heel. He's getting more momentum like a jerk-off just coming around, slapping you, and just going the other way. And he's been getting over on McAfee this entire feud. I mean, McAfee's basically been chasing him and not been able to get barely a hand on him.
That's true.
Logic says Theory should go over, but he's not. He's not being billed like the next big thing right now. He's just McMahon's pet project, and he's not. Doesn't come across as a serious threat to anybody. Just more of an annoyance. I think actually Pat McAfee is going to go over in this match. Little hint, guys. Celebrities, and I know I picked the Mysterios over Logan Paul earlier, but celebrities rarely lose at WrestleMania, and I would count Pat McAfee as a celebrity. So I'm going to think Pat McAfee is going to go over.
That's exactly where I was with my logic. There with Partham is there's 3 celebrity matches realistic, right, between Knoxville, this one, and then Logan Paul. So that's where I'm at, is like I had to pick one of them. One of them had to be an L somewhere, was kind of my logic, just because you don't see the celebrity spot, you end up getting not getting put over. And you go ahead, Maniac.
No, I was going to say that's a great point. I was going to ask, obviously, the other 2 are fully outside of WWE, but is McAfee, do you think in Vince McMahon's mind, McAfee is like a celebrity completely outside of WWE? And I only ask from Vince McMahon's perspective. I think we all agree that he's, made his own standing as a media personality. He's obviously an NFL player.
Yeah.
But with that said, I feel like Vince McMahon's perspective is a little odd.
I don't think he would have brought McAfee in if it wasn't for how successful the show is. The show wasn't popping off like it was even when he first showed up in NXT and such. So that I think that there would be some credit to that, where like Vince is just remembering him as that. But I think making him the guy on SmackDown, it's like, okay, this show is something for real. So mini celebrity, like micro celebrity, not the level of Knoxville or Logan Paul, I don't think.
And think about the contrast of how McMahon presented McAfee with a match for WrestleMania versus how he presented Rollins, who's carried the company for the last 7 years. Get in my office at 9 a.m. All right. Raw Tag Team Championships. To be honest, I'm pumped for this just because I like RK Bro. I'm not really pumped for anything about the rest of the match. Gable and Otis have been okay, but the Street Profits have kind of grown a little stagnant on me. I'm going to choose RK Bro to retain and have another WrestleMania moment. There's no reason that they should lose to either of these 2 tag teams. It wouldn't put them over. It would be better for them to have a WrestleMania moment, in my opinion. Partham, who you got? RK Bro taking on Alpha Academy and Street Profits.
This is kind of like the same situation with the Mysterios, where they've been teasing in like a month or 2 ago that there might be a split, but then they've gone back on it and just erased all those teases, and it's all good between Randy Orton and Riddle. So I don't see that if they're going to break up, it's not going to be starting right now. It'll probably build over the summer towards SummerSlam. The Street Profits can be a great tag team in the future, but they haven't been popping that much lately. Alpha Academy's already had their brief tag team title run, and they put the titles back on RK Bro because they're so over and because they want to keep them together for the short term. So I think RK Bro is going to go over here. They're going to retain.
Yeah, I think Randy Orton is just loving this angle, loving this whole time of his career with Riddle, and he has a lot of pull in WWE, and I don't think he wants it to end. So I'm going to go with RK Bro, and I think they're the most over tag team out of all these teams right here. I think they're the ones that should carry the titles.
Yes, so I think with my Mysterios pick back, I think between the Mysterios and RK Bro, one of these teams they're gonna shock me here. So I'd rather have it be the Mysterios and RK Bro. They've been I've tuned into some painful Raws over the last couple months, and RK Bro was the main reason I was tuning in. So I just want to see them happy in the ring together, winning. And like you said, usually I was thinking about the Streets Profits in this spot, but it does feel like they need a little of some kind of freshness, maybe a heel turn, something. I don't know. So I don't think this is the spot for them. Alpha Academy is they've been fun, and both those guys are great workers. I think that this is going to be a really, really fun match no matter what. And yeah, give me RK Bro.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good match. I like all 3 tag teams. Alpha Academy, a thank you, and shoot.
That is good. I'll give them that. When they do that, it's good.
Street Profits of obviously I want the smoke, and then obviously RK Bro, the 3 deadliest letters in the whatever they're saying is RKO, RK Bro, whatever. I'm done with that. But this is gonna be a retaining scenario, and RK Bro is gonna keep going because, like I said, it's the best storyline WWE has. They work well together, and it's just funny as hell.
Okay. Clean sweep for us on RK Bro, but McAdoo will be going with the Street Profits, so we don't get.
Because he wants to smoke at all times. I hate this guy.
McAdoo. Let's face it, he's a smokestack. He wants to smoke at all times. Bobby Lashley versus Bobby Ashley, as Tybee would say, versus Omos. I think that this is an opportunity for them to recreate Hulk Hogan slamming Andre the Giant, and Bobby Lashley is going to slam Omos, and that's going to be it.
I think so.
And it's going to fall very flat. And it's but Bobby Lashley, just the way I look at it, is that Omos is never going to get over as like a threat to win like the a top tier title by himself. So this is a good spot for a spectacle for Bobby Lashley to go off, show that physical prowess, and get a win on a big stage. So I'm picking Bobby Lashley. Rob, what do you got?
Yeah, this is gonna be a quick match. I think it wasn't really built up. It was just like, oh, Omos versus Bobby. Yeah, let's do it. It's just gonna be a lot of heavy lifting. You'll see a lot of crazy, just like lifts and shit. It'll be a quick, probably 5 minutes, but it'll be back and forth. Omos, I just don't. I don't know who wins this match. I think it might even end in maybe even a double count out.
Schmaz?
Maybe, possibly, but Bobby's in that weird spot right now where Drew was right after his title, where it's where do you go with Bobby now? Especially if there's only one person with the title. I mean, they'll obviously go back eventually, but right now there's going to only be one person with the title. So Bobby's going to be in that weird spot. I'm going to go Omos.
I was back and forth on this. I really don't know where to go. I think that if they're going to keep this feud moving beyond just tonight or tomorrow night, it inevitably ends up with Bobby Lashley slamming Omos at the end of Raw and breaking the ring. They can't do that at WrestleMania, so give me Omos for the win tonight so we get the inevitable ring breaking.
What should happen, in my opinion, is that the returning Bobby Lashley, who was never really defeated as a champion other than the Money in the Bank contract, and he only lost his title because he got injured, should come back and look really strong and put himself into a position as a legit world title contender again. But this is WWE, so Omos is going to win.
I've been going back and forth on this too. I mean, Bobby Lashley just got back. He has his shoulder injured, which we don't know how good it's going to be. He should look strong. He's been getting over with the crowd being more the babyface recently. But we know WWE. They've been pushing Omos for months now, and Bobby Lashley just got back, and Bobby Lashley got one over on Omos, knocking him down on the go home Raw, and we know what that is possibly going to signal, be a red flag for. I don't like making this pick. I hope I'm wrong, but Omos is probably going to go over.
Okay, very interesting. So we are actually kind of all over the place on this one, and yeah, I guess that's
we're just torn on Lashley Omos.
Absolutely torn at the seams, and that's what happens when you have a match without a ton of build-up that's just kind of thrown together last second. It's tough to get
Ironically, it's the least interesting feuds that are the most hardest to pick and decide on.
Hardest to predict, yeah.
I agree. Micah, you went with Lashley?
No, Omos.
Omos, I'm sorry. Okay, I just want to make sure.
No
Okay.
problem.
Hey, and we are moving on as we go. We have 2 matches left. WrestleMania 38, Stupendous. And this has been a stupendous build-up. We alluded to it in our pre-show. Edge versus AJ Styles. Edge has lost his mind, and it's very believable, and it's great. And it's great because, even when Edge would come out and he'd be screaming at the crowd to, let him feel the energy, he seemed kind of like a psycho there, even when he was a face. So everything is just very believable with this character. AJ Styles, again, I couldn't agree more with what Ernie said earlier in the show. It's the perfect situation for him to get back into the fold and redevelop his solo character after the long Omos run. I'm hoping these two put on a classic, and I hope ultimately that Edge gets his second consecutive WrestleMania loss as AJ Styles comes out with the victory. Partham, what do you got? Edge versus AJ Styles, the Rated R Superstar versus the Phenomenal One.
My understanding is AJ Styles hasn't won on pay-per-view for months now, since maybe, June, July, or something like that. So you would think they would give the match to AJ. But Edge is on the cusp of a new turn in character, not just a heel turn, but a whole new character entirely. And from what I'm seeing, reading on reports, he doesn't just want to go heel. He wants to form his own little house of black here, start recruiting one or two guys into this very dark stable he's trying to, form. And he is the Rated R Superstar. Even if he's not Rated R persona right now, he'll find a way to, by hook or crook, and most likely by crook, I think he's going to go over AJ Styles, because they're going to have to push Edge as this new heel character going forward. So I think it's going to be Edge.
I agree with most of that. However, I think that they're building him into being this dangerous, off the reservation heel, and just get crazier and crazier and crazier. And the one way to make him even crazier is by having him lose this match, like a roll up or something like that, and just continue to lose his mind and go even more psycho. So I'm picking AJ.
Yeah, I've been back and forth on this one, honestly, all week. There's great arguments for both of them, right? You guys kind of just laid out both sides for it. I think AJ is solidified as a world title contender again if he gets a huge win over Edge at WrestleMania. So it depends what kind of direction they go. I don't think it hurts AJ to lose to Edge. Edge is that's one of the most top 5 people got in WWE right now. So would be no surprise to see him go over. I like kind of building the momentum. I've seen the rumors about the little stable too, Damian Priest potentially, a couple other guys. So I think, make him look strong. Maybe even this is where they introduce it, and we have, Damian Priest not on this card. Maybe he comes out, there's a little uppercut to AJ or pulls his leg down from under him, sizing up for the forearm, and that's how we get Edge going over and get some kind of moment. But I think before we get to any chicanery, this is going to be a damn near 5-star match. This is good. These two. Vince said that he wishes he signed AJ 10 years ago, and you could see 10 years ago this main eventing, or 10, 15 years ago, main eventing. I'm watching 25 around this range. This could have been a match that was one of the best ever that we've ever seen. So I think these two know that. They see a lot of other opportunities on this card. They're going to want to put on a show. So I'm expecting a classic out of these two. But give me the Rated R Superstar. Give me Edge.
Yeah, I think this would be a great one. I would love if Edge continues this heel turn with the stable, like you said, Damian Priest. That would be a great a great team. I think this could very well be the opener for night 2, just to get the crowd really going. I think this would be a good one to get the crowd going with. And eventually, maybe with an interference, maybe a cheap shot, something. Edge is going to do something just because he's a heel now to get really over as the heel. But he will win this match. So I'm going with Edge.
Okay, so we're a little bit swapped there as well, and that should make it an interesting match. And WWE's in a good spot, because no matter who wins that match, no matter what the outcome is, there will be definitely some backlash, which WWE seems to love after WrestleMania. With that said, we are here. After 78 minutes, we are at our main event. It is time. So now, guys, I got to be honest. Is this going to be 1 belt, 2 belts? What's going on with the unification process here? Someone explain it to me.
I think it's going to be 2 belts.
Yeah,
I think it's whoever.
They're going to split it up eventually. It's going to be like the women's.
Brocky 2 belts?
Brocky
Not
2
quite.
belts.
Okay.
As long as the brand split is in place, there will be 2 belts, unfortunately. There should be one.
Yeah.
Only.
I think it might be an opportunity.
There's going to be 2 belts.
Is this an opportunity to bring back Big Gold? Is it looking at it as nostalgia plays right now, at going 90s, 2000s nostalgia? It's hitting right now. You're like, you know what? Let's just bring back. I know they probably won't, but it would be.
WWE likes their big freaking logo on those belts that they give out to all the sports championship teams that you see in those celebration ceremonies and the parades and whatnot. They're never
also
gonna.
not-
They're never gonna reduce the size of that logo on that belt.
They're also not gonna have only one title. They're gonna have to get it back separately, just because it's two shows run by two different companies. Both shows are gonna want a champion.
Yeah.
True point, true point. Okay, well, hey, this is not the first time these two have fought. So I want two things from each of you. One, I want a prediction. And two, I want, will this be the last time at a big four event like the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series that these two face off for any type of championship? Let's start it off. Rob, give it to us.
The moment is finally here. The moment I've been waiting for months now. I hop on this Wrestling with Emotion show every pay-per-view and say, we are never going to acknowledge the fraud ever again. And it's time to finally not recognize the fraud. He is not the tribal chief. He is not head of the table. He is a pony, and he is finally going to lose to the Cowboy, the only person that you do acknowledge, the reigning, undisputed, defending WWE World Heavyweight Champion, Brock Lesnar.
Well, I couldn't disagree more, Rob. I'm sorry.
And
the second one, go.
Unfortunately, this is not the last time we're going to see these two, because WWE loves to just have these two go back and forth, so we'll see them at SummerSlam.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Rob. I couldn't disagree more with that. I think we're looking at a situation. You go back, the first Mania main event was WrestleMania 31, and they were in much different places, both these guys. Roman was, if you watch the promo package before that, it's kind of hilarious to see how they were trying to present Roman. Like, he was like the goody two-shoe baby face, like, I'm here to earn this, like, I will, like, all that stuff. It seemed so corny in the moment. Like, no wonder he was getting booed out of the building there. And
I forgot about the I can, I will until you just said
that's
it right
what
now.
it's
the corniest thing of all time.
You know, the ribbon thing, that's just what it said. It said, I can, I will. Like, we're supposed to cheer this man in the main event. He's getting like shoved as he's coming through the crowd. Like, it was a gross scene. People were not happy with Roman. And they're cheering Brock, but Brock like hadn't hit his stride yet. Like, it was really Heyman who was carrying all the Brock stuff. Brock was kind of just there bouncing around looking tough, F5ing people. That match was the birth of Suplex City. It's the first time it was even uttered on TV, which is crazy when you're watching, looking back and seeing how far we've come with all that. So that being said, in that moment, the reason that Rollins cashed in is because Vince was not ready to pull the trigger on Roman Reigns getting that kind of win because of that crowd reaction, because people just didn't care about him really. They were just apathetic. They didn't want to see him on the screen. So we fast forward 7 years later. Vince wanted to give Roman that win, that moment. He audible gave it to Rollins. This is the moment that he's been building Roman Reigns for 7 years, is to beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania in a winner-take-all match. I don't think Lesnar is the guy to beat Reigns, because Lesnar doesn't need to get the benefit of beating Reigns. So I still would rather see it be somebody else on this roster. I think they put too much into Roman and the bloodline and everything else. I think he comes away with the championship and the bloodline standing tall at the end, as The Rock comes out and challenges to him for the head of the table at WrestleMania 39. And we get a nice little year-long build of that. And the dissension to the Roman Empire happens within and outside. I think that's why I'm picking the bloodline to lose as well. Maybe a little bit of dissension there, especially if The Rock comes out and starts challenging things. I think we're getting a lot more of heavy hitting. That was good, Partham. I like that. I'm going Roman. I still acknowledge Tribal Chief. I love Brock. I think this is going to be an incredible main event. They put on a classics. I thought it was 7 years ago. They did a great job, and they're both evolved so much more. I think they're going to deliver here.
Go ahead.
The only thing that's weird about this match is that neither of these guys have lost. Brock has not lost on his new contract. Roman obviously hasn't lost in a year at least. So it's like, how do they get one of these guys to lose? That's the real question. Like,
The only one that can beat these guys is each other and Seth Rollins. Really, that's what they've told us for 7 years. Like Rollins is the only guy that pinned either of these guys consistently. Otherwise, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's good and bad. But for this situation, for a main event match at this WrestleMania, I think it's actually going to work out in their favor.
Yeah, I agree with a lot. I agree with a lot of what you said. I think when The Rock comes back to challenge, everyone's going to expect him to be the babyface, and I want him to be the Hollywood Rock. I want him to come back and be like, you know what? You know, you guys talk about the bloodline. You guys talk about the Samoan legacy. Well, the Samoan legacy sucks. I became the biggest star in the world in spite of the Samoan dynasty. When I was a kid, I was locked out of my apartment because of the Samoan dynasty, because you guys are all losers who leech off the top person. You guys are all scum. I hate you guys. I don't need the Samoan legacy. You guys all suck, and I'm going to make an example out of Roman Reigns, to the point where I want him to come to the ring and I want him to cover his tribal tattoos with tape. I think it'd be the greatest thing ever. You know, he can pull it off. Yeah, it'd be awesome. Like, come back as a babyface and just talking trash. We've seen that a million times before. But if he comes back and just, and I am above the Samoan dynasty. Look what I've done. You know, nobody even knows who you are, Roman Reigns, outside WWE. I'm the biggest freaking star ever, and it wasn't because of the Samoan dynasty. You know, like punches like Seeker or something like that. It'd be the greatest thing ever. You know, come out and be a complete, like, I'm so much better than you heel, similar to Hollywood Rock. And by the way, Hollywood Rock had the best Titantron in music ever, but I digress. But having said that, Roman's going to win this match. That's why this is how I hope they start the build between him and Rock at 39 in Los Angeles. But I pick Roman Reigns.
I think you can get to your build. While you give Rock his moment tonight or tomorrow night, ever. It's a huge pop. And then tomorrow night or whatever they bring him back on, it could be in a couple months. That's the promo that Rocky cuts. And then it's so cutting because we had the moment. Everybody's hyped up to see him next time. Yeah. And then he just turns on everybody. I love it. That's, oh man. I was
thinking the lines of like when Steamboat and Flair had their 3-match series in '89 and Terry Funk came out to congratulate Flair as a face. And the next thing you know, he's pile driving Flair through a table like 3 minutes later. That's kind of started the heel turn out of nowhere. That was kind of like the inspiration for my idea there. Didn't mean to interrupt, sorry.
No, you're good. Sign me up.
Roman Reigns is not what WWE thinks he is. Roman Reigns is not what WWE would like him to be. That is why I do not acknowledge Roman Reigns. But unfortunately, WWE does acknowledge him. So Roman Reigns is going to win this match. They have been trying to pull this trigger frustratingly for the better part of 7 years. Twice they've had a bite at the apple, and twice they've chickened out. Rollins cashing in was a great moment, but WrestleMania 34 was just a train wreck, no pun intended. And they finally have Roman right. People don't like Roman Reigns as a person, or as a character, I should say, so they finally went with it, and now they're going to go with him as a heel. As great as Cowboy Brock has been as of late, and by the way, a couple of corrections. Brock did lose at Saudi to Roman Reigns with some chicanery with the Usos involved and Paul Heyman and whatnot. And also the birth of Suplex City was SummerSlam 2014 against John Cena, Suplex City and all that.
Yes, but he said Suplex City.
He said it at
Mania. He said it at SummerSlam 2014. He said that to John Cena.
I'm gonna have to
watch
heard
it on the camera.
Yeah, I have to watch it back. I remember. Yeah. I was watching 31 the other day, and I remember seeing it vividly after that.
Because that's where Brock's offense of nothing but suplexes started. He was suplexing John Cena from pillar to post. So okay, last time, yeah, I think it's gonna be the last time because they've done it to death enough. This has become the new John Cena Randy Orton match. And they've done all they can, title versus title, Brock showing some personality, whereas Paul Heyman allegiances lie. They've done everything they can to freshen this feud up this time around. And I think they're just out of ammo as far as what are they going to do the next time. So I think this is going to be the last time. And I think if WWE had their druthers, yes, The Rock is going to come out. He is going to cut down, the Samoan dynasty, the tribal chief, and the bloodline and all that, but as a babyface, because people still do not want to cheer Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is over as a heel and as a star as a heel, but he's not going to be over as a star as a face, so you can't have The Rock be, especially for his grand return after a few years absent. Rock is going to be, if he comes back, he's going to be the babyface, and he's going to cut down the bloodline for all the things that they've said and done, and it's going to be a build to the next year's WrestleMania in Hollywood.
To be honest, I thought it was. I mean, it's just been so long. I thought it happened at WrestleMania too for the birth of Suplex City. But now I remember, as you see here in this article, it was SummerSlam against John Cena all those years ago. Yeah, I think you guys have basically covered it better than I ever could. Ernie, I love the Samoan angle. I do think that The Rock champions so much Samoan stuff, like in his movies and things like that, that it's going to be tough for him to completely turn his back on Samoan. But basically, just say, yeah, like Roman, you haven't done shit for like the Samoans. Like you're in this insulated little WWE world, like, and I've gone on to be, this mega superstar, and I get it in movies. I got you in, Hobbs and Shaw for your shit little like non-talking role and stuff like that. Like if they use that, like that would be incredible. And obviously go there and stuff. And they'll obviously have a lot of time to do so. With that said, I want to get it all from you guys right now. Yes or no, Rock in person on night 2?
No.
Yes.
It's too early to build it.
They did it already before. We had once in a lifetime. It was a year before.
Yeah. I don't think it's too early. I just don't think he's going to be there. That's all.
Gotcha. Okay. Well,
I mean, they have to work around Rock's schedule. So hopefully they've planned this with him a year in advance of this even happening on this night. So I would say yes.
This has been, Rock Roman has been like a 6-year rumor at this point. So you'd hope they've tried some long-term planning with the man, right? Like this has been every Mania we've heard a rumor of it.
Just like you see in the Halo show, sometimes things need to be a rumor for 10 plus years before they finally come to fruition. So we're hoping for that. That would definitely be entertaining, and obviously would be a great fit for WrestleMania Hollywood. And we hope we're a great fit in your podcast routine. Wrestling with Emotion show here. We got Michael Partham, Ernie Green, Jake Micah, Rob Ryan, and of course me, the Maniac. Make sure you're tuning in tonight. We will be live streaming the Final Four action as well as WrestleMania live from Studio D. But a lot to look forward to, and we are all pumped for WrestleMania. The wrestling boom is happening all around us, and it could not be better. Again, huge shout out to our family here. Make sure you're following along for them, because on this show, it's not about wrestling with your budget. It's not about wrestling with your conscience. It's about wrestling with emotion.